Good afternoon, everyone. How is everyone today? If somebody could do me a favor and just put something in the chat to confirm that you can hear me and everything is good. Excellent. Thank you, Jonathan. Appreciate it. All right. Um, so my name is Keith Henderson. I'm the director of the Division of Local Planning Services at the Department of Community Affairs. And as you know, we're in the process of developing a new system to replace what used to be called the COA Tracking and Monitoring System, or CTM, that many of you may be familiar with, that you've used over the years. For those of you who aren't, it was a system that was used by COA back in the day for tracking things like affordable housing trust fund collections and expenditures and the production of new affordable housing units with all the details associated with those units. There were also a lot of other components of that system that were used by the COA staff at the time to track the process of submitting petitions for substantive certification and moving through the whole process, which our office is now no longer going to be part of because that part of things is being done by the Administrative Office of the Courts through what they're calling the Affordable Housing Dispute Resolution Program. All that is laid out in the new law that was referred to many as A4, was signed by the governor back in March. So those amendments to the Fair Housing Act and other parts of the law signed by the governor delegate certain responsibilities to the Department of Community Affairs, and specifically the collection of affordable housing trust fund monitoring reports and detailed information on affordable housing completions. We're also going to be responsible for the establishment of an administrative agent and municipal housing liaison certification program. We won't be talking about administrative agents and municipal housing liaisons today. We're only going to be focusing on the reporting system and the new affordable housing monitoring system, or AHMS. We might come up with a different name for it, but that we're building right now. So for now, I'll call it AHMS. And it's going to incorporate a lot of the same features that the previous legacy system had, but it's going to be streamlined, a little bit more user-friendly, and hopefully everybody easier for everybody to use. So we've got until September 16th. That's when the deadline is for municipalities to submit the required affordable housing trust fund monitoring and the affordable housing completion monitoring. So this is the second of four webinars like this, and all the webinars that we're doing are the same. It's not like you have to attend each one separately. It's not like reporting and monitoring 101, 102, 103. It's going to be the same subject matter in all four of them. But you can always come back and check another one in the future if you miss something. And we're also going to make a recording available. It'll be posted on our website for future reference. So sorry, I guess I should have said at the beginning of this meeting, it's being recorded. So as long as you're good with that, then you can continue, but we will be recording. So our new system is being built by a company called CSI Technologies. We've been working with them for a few months now, and I hope everybody realizes this is a difficult process for us as much as it is for you. The law was signed on March 20th, and we've had between then and now to come up with a way of implementing the law. And anyone who knows anything about how state government works, there's a certain amount of time that has to be spent on things like the procurement process and getting software developer vendors in place and everything. So, I think that we're actually doing pretty good given all those the potential obstacles. So it's been a very fast track project in response to that legislation, and we've had to react to it very quickly. So hopefully you'll be able to be patient with some of this as we move forward. Our initial focus is just going to be on getting a bare bones essentials available to help all of you with the required reporting. So there's going to be future updates and improvements to the system as time moves forward, but we really want to just focus on giving everyone the immediate necessary tools that are required to comply with the new legislation. So CSI has incorporated a lot of the information that was in the previous system. And I just want to assure everyone that as the new system closes, which we anticipate is going to happen I'm sorry, as the old system closes, which we anticipate is going to happen on September 2nd, all of the information historically entered up until then is going to be migrated into the new system. And I can't stress that enough. So I just want to assure everyone all the information entered into the legacy CTM system is going to be migrated into the new system. We've run tests to ensure that all that's going to be able to happen, and those tests on the data that we have so far have worked perfectly. So no data will be lost, and we will have to close the old system for a couple of days to make the transition, and the new system will be up and operational in the morning of September 6th. So we're doing our best to help everybody have access to the tools that are going to be necessary for you to do your job. So without further ado, I think I'd like to introduce John Porter from CSI Technologies, who's going to talk a little bit about the process and help everyone walk through what's going to be necessary to get into and use the system. And then his partner, Anthony Scroy, is going to talk a little bit about actually using the system. So at the end of our discussion today, we should have a little bit of time for some Q&A. Everybody, as you can see, is muted right now. It'd be a madhouse in here right now if that wasn't the case. When we're done, yesterday we had a little trouble with this, but maybe it'll work today. When we're done, I think that we have a way where if you raise your hand, we can unmute you and you can ask a question. I wasn't able to get that to work yesterday, but I made a couple tweaks and maybe it'll work today. If it doesn't, then we'll do what we did yesterday, which is just you can ask questions in the chat and we'll try our best to respond to them. So, if that's all done, John, if you're ready, you're on.
Thank you, Keith. Can you let me know when my screen's displaying on your side?
We got you,
Your
John.
screen is up.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. As Keith mentioned, my name is John Porter. My colleague Anthony Scroy is also part of the meeting. We are both with the CSI Technology Group. We are the vendor that is working with Keith and his team to design the new applications that you will be working in to, enter keep your affordable housing data updated. Everything that the sites or the applications that Anthony and I are going to show you today, they are development sites. So what we are showing you is the applications that we are currently working on and updating like on a daily basis. So what you see today will likely be a little different from what you see when you're able to access the production applications on Friday, September 6th. So because it's the system's being updated every day. So when you eventually log into the production site next week or thereafter, there's likely to be some slight differences. So, but the workflow, the functionality will still be the same. What you're currently seeing on your screen, this is a portal site that we are designing for the Affordable Housing Monitoring System to register so new users can register for the new application. If you currently have an account with the COA system, the existing COA database, your account will be migrated to the new system. So you'll be able to log in using, the same methods through your My New Jersey account to log into the new system. You do not have to re-register. But if you have, if anybody in the meeting today, or if you have colleagues that would eventually need to register for the new system, this is how you would do it. You would visit this website and we will, Keith will share the URL for the portal site. Once it's confirmed, we're just waiting for some certificates to be approved and everything. So there's a slim chance that the URL might change, but in the event to avoid confusing anybody, we'll just share that when it's locked in and confirmed. But this would be the site that you would visit. It's a 2-page site at the moment, and let me explain what you're seeing here. So at the top of the screen in the top banner section, you have the home page button, which, regardless of where you're at in the site, you click home, it's going to bring you back to this home page. There's an FAQ section that's still under development, but eventually, based on feedback, as people use the system, an FAQ page will be developed to, provide answers to commonly asked questions, just like, your standard FAQ page on most websites. This instructions for registration, this will be a link to download, PDF version of step-by-step instructions for registering for an account for the new system. Essentially, it's going to be, written print format of everything we're reviewing today. So in the event that, you forget anything that we discussed today, you'll be able to download step-by-step instructions as well. The register for municipal service account button. This is the button you would click to start the registration process to essentially request an account. And once your account, if you have an existing account, or if you do an account request and it's eventually approved, you can, return to this site and log in through this site too, through the municipal service account login button. But you don't have to, it's just an option. You can always, what you're currently doing by logging into your My New Jersey account and accessing it that way, it'll work the same way for this site. So eventually, when your account's approved, you're going to have, this is the existing tile for the current COA system. There will be a new tile added to your account once the new system comes online, or if you have to register for a new account, once your account's approved, you'll have the tile added to your My New Jersey account. So the login's the same as well, but now instead of just going directly to your My New Jersey account, there's also a portal site that you can log in through as well. And this just brings you, if you click this button, it just brings you to the My New Jersey login page for the same workflow. This button, or this register for municipal service account button, this is the same button here that's labeled click here to start the registration process. So if you click either button, it's going to open up the same page. Just put it two places for convenience. There is some information here on the page just explaining the program. There's here's some contact information for Keith's office should you need any assistance in the future. That'll be available on the website as well as a little disclaimer message. So if you need to register for a new account, like I said, if you don't have an existing COA account, you need to register for an account with the new system. Again, visit this page and either click the register for municipal service account button or the click here to start registration process button. It will direct you to this page where you have to provide some basic information in order to get the process started. So any field on this page that's marked with the red asterisk, that means it's required information. If you don't fill out at a minimum those fields that are marked with the red asterisk, which is 8 fields, you will not be able to submit your account request. Everything, the non-marked fields, which are only 3, is, not required, but always, if you have the information, please enter it. So first thing you have to fill in is just your first name. Second is your last name. Middle name, if you use one, you can enter that here. If you use a suffix in your name, you can select the suffix from this drop-down menu. Next, you would select the county that your municipality is located in. So if you're, if you're in New Brunswick Township in Middlesex County, you would first select Middlesex County, and then once you select the county here, the municipalities that are within that county will be in the municipality menu, and then you could select New Brunswick there. Next would be your occupation and title. Your email address, you would enter that here. There's a second field to confirm your email address. And then your telephone number. This is a telephone number that would be the best way to contact you in the event there's any questions about the information you provided. That you might be contacted by either email or telephone. So that's why that's requested. And the last field is the verification code, which is simply displayed in this gray box on the right-hand side. And so once you have those fields filled out, there are 2 certifications you have to acknowledge at the bottom of the screen in order to submit your request. So currently you can see that the submit registration button is deactivated. Can't click on it. That's because the page hasn't been fully completed, which is the last step is to check these 2 check boxes to acknowledge that you've read and understand. And the first one is that you acknowledge that by submitting this application, I'm authorized to act as a user for one or more municipal jurisdictions. And the second one is pursuant to Rule 1:4-4. I understand that by clicking the Submit Request button, I am certifying that the foregoing statements made by me are true. I'm aware that any of the foregoing statements made by me are willingly false. I am subject to punishment. And you can see as soon as you mark off both checkboxes, your Submit Registration button becomes active. And once that's green, once that lights up in green, that means you're good to go. You can click that button. And from here, and unfortunately, I can't show you this today because it's still our development site. But once you click the Submit Registration button, you're going to be redirected to My New Jersey. And what you will be able to do is on that next page, it's going to ask you whether or not you have a My New Jersey account. So if you do have a My New Jersey account, you would check off yes, and it's basically going to ask you to enter your login information, user ID and password. If you don't and you select no, it will allow you to create a My New Jersey account right from that page. So if you don't currently have a My New Jersey account, the system will, help you do that right from here. Once you complete that process, your request will be directed to Keith's office, where there's a process for your request to be reviewed and confirmed. And once if your account request is confirmed or approved, you will receive a notification that your account request has been approved, and essentially that would automatically add the tile for the new system to your My New Jersey account, at which point you could then log into the system and do what you need to do. And that is the Affordable Housing Monitoring System portal site. And like I said, please, it's still, under development. So what you see when you start using the system on September 6th will likely be slightly different than what you're seeing today. So Keith, Anthony, anything you think I should go over again or anything I overlooked?
No, sir.
Okay.
Nope. I think that's good.
Excellent. Thank you. So that being said, I will turn this over to my partner, Anthony, so he can show you what the new application looks like and how to use it. Thank you.
All right. Hello, everyone. Again, my name's Anthony. I'm going to be showing you the actual application itself that we are developing for the new affordable housing process. John, confirm my screen, please.
I am seeing it.
Great. Okay, everyone. So once everyone is logged in and it's in My New Jersey and has that tile there that they can click on, they're going to go to My New Jersey, log in, click on the new tile for the new system. And once you click on that tile, it'll bring you directly to your home page, which you see here. There's no secondary login. It's a single sign-on. So once you're in My New Jersey and have access to that tile, you'll have access to the application. Depending on what your role is or your permissions or work groups, different terms we use, whatever role you have in your agency or that you're afforded by the DCA that gives you authorization will depend on what your screen looks like. Our application works on an inbox method. As you can see, I have inboxes on my screen. This only has one inbox because this permission only has one type of entry into the system. So some people may have more inboxes than others. And again, as we move through the system and we're tweaking everything, the inboxes may change name, they may change location. But generally speaking, this is the look of our application. So I'm going to run through how the application works, and we're going to look at two different views. We're going to look at a view from a trust fund monitoring view, which is the one we're looking at right now. And then we're going to look at a project unit monitoring view, because they are two separate things and they are segregated in the system. That's not meaning that one person can't do multiple. That depends again on your permissions. So your permissions will dictate which inboxes you have. So along the top of the screen, obviously you have your name on the top right hand of the screen and a log off button. The home button, just like any other home button, any place in the application, you click the home button, it will bring you back to this home screen. On the right-hand side over here, we have some report links. Right now, there aren't reports in the system, but if reports are added, this is where they will be accessible from. There is only one module here, so it'll always be at affordable housing. The left-hand side is our menu entry points to get into certain locations. As you can see in the main section, there's an add transaction, a plan search, and a project search. These are parts of the main menu. If you notice, this one has a gold star on it. This one's white. Anything that you star off, you can add to a favorite. So now when I open up the favorite menu, add transaction will be there. So if you do a lot of add transactions, you can add it to your favorites. We also have in the search menu, we have a trust fund transaction search, which will give you the ability to search any transactions that are within the trust fund. So you'll be able to search the municipality you're in, what category that you want to search within. And as you search, as you change the different trust fund categories, the different types will appear. You can go from a date. So if you want to do a date range, you can put a date range in and you can search that. But minimally, not all the fields are required. So you can do a very broad search by clicking just the go button to give you a very broad search. We don't recommend that because there's sometimes a lot of data in there. We try to tell you to limit your search by at least a few fields so you can get a much better, very faster response from the system. Okay. So from here, the first way for the trust fund monitor to be able to look at the trust funds would be accessing the active plans of the municipality. So that would be accessed right now. You can see that this is my municipality's active plans, and there's only one. Okay, because right now this person is logged into Allendale, New Jersey. So there's one active plan in Allendale. So I click, if you had multiple active plans, it would be, that number will be changed. When you go into this inbox, it lists all the active plans that you have access to. I'm going to click on Allendale here, which will bring me into the municipality, bring me into the plan. You can tell what plan we're in right now because along the top, the data has changed. It tells me I'm in the municipality of Bergen in Allendale, and the plan version 3.1 amendment submitted and monitored. So it tells you, always know which plan you're being planned in at the top of the screen. Whenever you enter an inbox, for the majority of the time, you'll have different tabs across the screen. Anyone who used the old system, it is similar. Where there were tabs in that system also. So the first tab is a plan summary, which will give you some basic information about the plan that you're currently viewing. The next section is the contacts, which will give you all the contacts that are listed currently for that plan. The trust fund tab is the meat and potatoes of this login, which will give you all the information about the trust fund for this plan. Okay, so let's go through the screen. You have what the trust fund bank, which is the bank name, the bank account, address of the data. It gives you the trust fund detail. Okay, when this account was detailed, all the information that was created, and all this, just to give information that Keith had touched on earlier, this information all is from the old system. All the old system that we're working on right now, we're looking at, is the old data that came over, and we are checking to make sure it all is coming through properly. It gives you the residential information here. The trust fund transactions is down the bottom. Okay, so we're going to skip over add for now. We'll hit that later on, but it'll give you your total income, your total expenditures, and the balance in the account. And then you can see any of these income categories. You could see your total amounts currently to date. If you click on the open button for each one of them, it will give you all the transactions for that section. Now, since there's a zero balance in there, there's nothing in there, it's zero, there are no transactions. If we click on open for the development fees, you will run through and we'll see that here's all the development fees that were collected, income. By default, our pages are set to 30 per page. If there's 599 records in this section. So if you wish to change this category amount, you can change the amount, which will display on the screen. If you notice on the top right over here, you can sort these items. Also, we have an Excel button here and a PDF button here. You can export all this data to an Excel spreadsheet if you needed to take it into Excel to be able to manipulate the data and do any calculations you wish to segregate data down or to sort it differently if anyone's an Excel user. So you simply click this button here and it'll tell you want to download the button, and it'll simply download an Excel spreadsheet for you. The PDF will download a PDF version of what you're seeing here very similarly, but of course you can't access or edit the data in the PDF system. Just to cover some basic ways of how our system works, if you look across the top of the columns here, this one's got a little up triangle, and these have square boxes. You could sort any of these by clicking on these buttons. So if I click this button, it'll reverse the sort. Okay, if you click on the block suffix box, it will sort by block and suffix. So anytime in our application, if you see these buttons, you can sort that field by that field. Okay. So again, any of these you click open here will bring you to the same view, and it'll list all the transactions within that income type. For the expenditures, it's very similar, where if you click on open, you will get your transactions. And then there's a little bit different over here where you have a summary tab, where if you click on the summary link, it will give you a summary within the administrative costs. So within the administrative costs, there's consulting fees, legal fees, office supplies, other administrative costs, and personnel. And it will break down the amount for you within that category. Again, if I click on the housing activity, it'll tell you all the different types of sources within the housing category. Just a reminder to remember that if all of a sudden you're looking for something, you don't see it, if there's more than 30 records, you have to change your drop down here or scroll to the next page. Adding a transaction to the system is quite simple. You simply click the add button. It will automatically default to the municipality you're in and the plan you're in. And then you're going to choose what category you want. So we're going to put an expenditure. We're going to do a sample. Expenditure administrative costs. It's going to be let's call it a legal fee. We're going to use today's date. You can manually type the date, or you can click the calendar button and choose the date. The amount, put $1,000, and we're going to put in here attorney fees. When you click save, okay, that saves to the system. So if I go into my administrative costs here, and now again, it's sorted by date. I'm going to resort it. And here's this is the same training from yesterday. So here's the expenditure I just entered into the system right here. All right. I'm going to go back to add, and any category you choose, if you notice, all the other fields are dynamically connected. So anytime we change the fields here, the other fields will change. Some have required fields, some don't. But any information that you can add will automatically populate when you change the drop down. We always say if you have information, fill it out. The more information, the better. You can go back for searching later on, and it's just less information you have to put in at a later time. So that is how you add an expenditure or an income to the system. Okay. As people who are familiar with the old CTM system, there is a spending plan that's available, which I'm just showing you this right now, just so you can see it's here, which does show all the information from the prior years that are available to you. There's also a documents tab here. This is where you're able to add documents to the system. So if you have a bill for the attorney, where you have an expenditure, you want to upload the attorney's bill, or you want to add documents for the project of the unit that you need to add that are related to the trust fund in this situation with this login. To upload a document to the system is pretty easy. You're simply going to click the batch upload button. You're going to click over on the bottom left-hand side to add new files. Then you're going to locate your files on your system. And you're going to click open. It's going to populate the screen to tell you that it is currently in progress. Then you click the upload file button. It will tell you completed, and it'll tell you the success. 1 files were uploaded. Now it's going to ask you what folder and category you want to go to. If you have multiple files uploaded, they'll all be listed here, and you can choose a folder category for each one individually. If they're all going to go into the same one, you can click select all, and you can do your folder category on the bottom here. And this part on the bottom, if the select all selected, if you have 10 documents above, will automatically select all documents and place them into the same folder here. So when I hit save, check this off. It's going to automatically put it into the trust fund. So now in the trust fund, there's 2 documents. One's from today and one's from yesterday. If you want to download the document, you simply click on the document and it will start a download. If you want to view the documents that are related to this plan, you can click the View Document button on the top right screen. And this will bring you into our document viewer, which you can then click through all the documents that are currently in the system. Okay. To close this window, we're just going to click the X on the top right because it is a new window that opened up. Okay. Does anyone have any question? That is basically the meat and potatoes, how we're going to be adding trust fund information. I know this is part of the requirements required as per the new law to get all your trust fund information in. So really just, you're going to be coming into your fund, you're just hitting add and adding your transactions. Does anyone have any questions specific to what I just reviewed before I go on? You can throw them in the chat if anyone has any questions.
Keith has been answering the questions as they posted to the chat.
Okay.
So I think we're good, Anthony. Wait, here's one, Anthony. If you upload an item by mistake, can you remove it? You can just do that through the document viewer.
So if we go back to the view documents, there's no.
Well, okay. Yeah, the delete function isn't currently there. That would just be a decision from Keith to tell us if we, once they upload the document, are they allowed to delete it? And we could just add the delete function here.
Yeah. So So Jonathan, if we're able to allow deletion, that's up to Keith to allow that. We can add that functionality very easy. We have it in many of our applications, but that's a decision Keith has to authorize for us. Do you have to upload documents? That's a Keith question.
So we'll have a follow-up conversation with Keith about that.
Yes.
It probably won't be a problem.
Okay.
Thank you, Keith.
Okay. So that is good, John.
I'm making a note of that, Anthony, just so.
Okay. Great. Okay. So that covers the trust fund part of adding the data into the trust fund. Okay. Now we're going to review the unit monitoring and the project monitoring. So this user here has the project or unit monitor role. And if you can see, there's 2 inboxes for this person. They have the active plans and the active projects. There's also a unit search ability, which is on the left over here, which allows you to search for units. So if you know the project name, you can put the project name in and it'll show all the units within the project name. Or if you want to just drill down and say, I want to see all the 1 bedrooms that we have, you can click 1 bedroom and hit go, and it'll give you a list of all the 1 bedroom units you have in your system. You can also add flags to the system. If you know there's flags, you want to look for anything that's marked as a foreclosure, you can click the foreclosure. So this here will search for any 1 bedrooms that are marked in foreclosure. All right. So the searches can be done to find what unit you currently have in the system. I'm going to go back home. My active plans is the same view as you saw in the trust fund view. It's the same thing. There's 1 active plan that's in this municipality, but you can see that my municipality's active projects has the number 16. That's telling you that there are 16 active projects within this municipality. So to view those projects, we're going to click on the link. And just bear with us, as John had mentioned, this is a developmental site that we're on, so the speed may be a little bit off than it would normally be for you. All right, so here you can see the active projects we have here. These are all the current active projects, and a majority of these projects, minus the 2 on the bottom for training, these are all previous projects that were brought in from the data conversion from the old system. So what we're going to show you to do is we're going to want to add a new project to the system. All right. To add a new project to the system, though, you have to do it through the plan. This is only listing the project itself. I just want to show you the list of projects. So you can go into those projects individually and modify those projects individually. But to add a new project, you have to do it through the plan. So we're going to click on the active plan link. We're going to go into municipality, just like we did before. And you'll see this is a very similar view that we saw for the trust fund monitoring, except the tabs here are a little bit different. The first one is the same, which is your plan summary. This one has the project tab, the RCA partner tab, and not the trust fund tab. So we're going to go to the project tab. And you'll see these are all the same projects we saw in the previous inbox. It just showed the list. The next tab is the RCA partner. Now, because the new law does not allow for RCAs anymore, this is all historical data. Again, from the data conversion, there's no really changing this information because it also is historical, and there's no way to enter new partnerships or RCAs because it doesn't exist anymore. Your next tab is just like the trust fund was, where you have to be able to see your contacts, and the documents is the same thing as it would be for the trust fund, where you can upload documents the same manner or view all the documents if you need to. So what we're going to do is we're going to run through how to add a new project. So from the project tab within the municipality and plan, top right, you have a button that says add project. You're going to simply click the add project button. It's going to default to the municipality you're logged into, and you're going to make sure new is selected, and you're going to click next. It's going to bring you to the entry screen. Okay. Any of the fields that are marked required are required to go further. If you don't have that information, you're not going to be able to save the record. So we're going to give it a project name. And then it's going to give you what type of project. And again, anyone who's familiar with the old system, these may be familiar to you. So you're going to choose whatever type of project it is. I'm going to call it new construction, 100% affordability. You're going to enter the address of the project. If you have a building or an apartment or suite for the entire project, you can add that here. What the city is, the state, zip code. If you know the acreage that this project is going to cover, you can enter the amount of acreage. If you know the density, you can enter the density, the set aside percentage. Your project sponsor type is what type of who's sponsoring the project. Is it unknown? Is it a private developer, a nonprofit, municipally developed? We're going to call it a nonprofit for this training. Project sponsor name, we're going to call it project funder group. And then your project developer would be your construction company. We're going to call it ABC Construction Company, who's actually developing it. The project subtype. What is the subtype here? We're going to just call it there's no project subtype. The construction type, this is going to be new construction. If you have funds committed already, you could put the funds committed. If you expended funds already, you can expend funds. Your administrative expended admin costs, you can enter your amount in there if you need. If you have a average range of affordability, a payment in lieu of growth share, payment in lieu of growth share for the units. Any of your funding sources can be selected, and you can select multiple in this situation if you have multiple funding sources. The effective date of affordable controls, we're going to say that the effective date is today. Your affordability controls, are they non-perpetual or perpetual? If they're not perpetual, you're going to get another dynamic box to pop up to ask you how long are the affordability controls going to be good for. We're going to say they're good for 10 years. If the affordability controls were ever removed, what date were they removed? And the date of last monitoring update is just a date that you can use to give us a date if it was monitored last. And any waiver text, you can enter here. You click the save button. And it's going to bring us to our project summary page. Now, if you notice on the top, there's new tabs up here because we're within the project right now. Inside the project, you have a project summary button, a units button, a projects count button, and a contact button. Now, some of these fields here you may see, but you may not be able to update, or they weren't in the entry screen we did a minute ago. A lot of these fields are because of the legacy data from the old system. We need to display that for the old legacy projects and units. But since it doesn't go forward, we don't ask you to enter that data, or we don't allow you to update that data since it's not used going forward. So along the top is your project header. You have your project number, a project name. I'm not going to go through every field, but this is all a lot of its legacy data. All the project details, all the information I just entered in the previous screen. If I click the update button here, you can update all those fields we entered previously. If you know the block and lot numbers, so if there's multiple block and lot numbers, if you have 3 acres of property that was going to be subdivided and you have multiple blocks and lots, you can add them here, and you can add all your block and lot numbers sequentially if you need to. If you have any low income housing tax credits, you can add them here. You can add a project status, which we always recommend you have a project status. So project status is going to be today. It's going to be under construction because it's not completed yet. And we're going to call it yes. So when this project is finally completed, you'll come in and add a new project status of saying completed. And the reason we add new ones and not update old ones is so you can see a chronological order of what's happening with this project. So as it goes through the process, you can have multiple statuses so you can see where it's moving and how it's going. The next tab is the units tab. This is where you enter your units. Okay. Right now, obviously, we just created the project, so there's no units listed here. To enter a unit, you simply click the add button, and you will start to enter your unit detail. So you would put your address in. If you have the block and lot number, you would enter them here. If you have a unit and apartment number, you put a unit or apartment number in here. Your category, which is it is required to have some sort of category, and you can check any that you need. So if there's multiple categories, so if it's a 1-bedroom age restricted, you could select 1-bedroom age restricted. If there are any flags that apply to this one, so if we could, I wouldn't know any of the flags. I don't know what the flags actually mean. So if there's any flags you would choose the flags you need to here. Then you can go down to, because this is new construction, you're going to fill out the new construction section. It's the housing type here is going to be, we're going to call it a condo. Building permit completion date. If you have if you have a date completed for the building department of building documents, you can put the date in here. Once you get a CO, you can put your certificate of occupancy number here and the date that the CO is issued. An initial price of the unit, which is the sale or rental price, you enter into this box here. An affordability percentage is a required field at this time, which will be entered in this box here. If you get a municipal subsidy, you'd place it here, and the date or sale of transfer to go into this box. If it's a rehabilitated unit, you would fill in these boxes. You wouldn't necessarily have a new construction and rehab units because it's 2 different information. But if this was a rehab unit, you would put your final inspection date in here. If any of the systems were repaired in the house or the unit or apartment condo, you can put in here what the fixes were in the apartment. How much did it cost to fix the repairs, to fix the units that need to be repaired? Any development fees that were expended or any funds that were recaptured any way that they would. This section's for all units. So whether it's a new construction or rehab, you're going to all unit. So the effective date of affordable controls, we're going to call today, because you may have different affordable control dates for each unit. So you will enter it for each unit that you enter into the system. Again, it's perpetual or yes or no. Right now it's no. If I click yes, this box goes away. Okay, if it's not perpetual, you can put the amount of time you need for the controls to last. Again, if the remote control is removed, you'll enter the date here. This here will give you the total completed units and total creditworthy units. So right now it's 1 unit and 1 unit creditworthy. So we're going to click save. Again, this is a required field, which I neglected to enter. So you're going to need to enter your affordability percentage. We'll call it 10. And we're going to click save here. And it's going to list our unit right here. If there's 5 units, you go back and you click the add button again, and you enter your next unit. And so forth and so on, and you move down the list and add all your units. The project count button, if anyone's familiar with the old CTM system, it's going to be a chart of all your project and all your types of units. Okay, it's very similar to what you were used to seeing. Again, you'll see here that there is an age-restricted unit, and is one of them, which was also a 1-bedroom. So it's a 1-bedroom age-restricted unit. The project count summary in the top right will just give you a listing of what is on within this chart here. Your contact tab is very similar to your contacts, where any of your project contacts will be listed here. Okay, that is the basic way to enter units into the system. Anyone have any questions on that? I know Keith's been taking care of them all here.
Yeah, he is working his way through the questions.
Hey, Keith, I'm done talking at this point, unless I need to again. If you want to, verbalize your questions instead of typing out, it's up to you.
Yeah, that would be good because my fat old man fingers
That's
don't
all
type
good.
too fast.
That's all
So
good.
let's see. I just answered the affordability percent question. So is that clear? So, it's a unit that's priced affordable to be to a family earning a certain percentage of area median income, regional median income. That's what's meant by that. So individual units, unfortunately, the way the legislation is written, it's very detailed what the legislature wants in terms of reporting on this, very specific details on the characteristics of the unit. And so just, imagine it's easy to imagine a two-dimensional chart where you've just got rows and columns, but because of the variety of possibilities, this becomes almost a three-dimensional type of reporting chart of some sort, which is impossible, obviously. So you actually have to enter information for each unit. You could have an apartment building and you need to know the number of 1-bedrooms, 2-bedrooms, 3-bedrooms, the number of 1-bedrooms that are priced to be affordable to a household earning 40%, 1-bedrooms earning a price to be affordable to a household earning 60%. So all those different variables, the only way to capture that is to actually enter information for each unit. Let's see. So hopefully that answers a couple of the questions that Chris and Kate have asked. There is a low and moderate, but there's, that range of affordability is one of the requirements that the legislation asks for. Once you begin entering information, we're hoping to be able to staff up. Again, we ask for your patience. This is hitting the Department of Community Affairs just as quickly as it's hitting all of you. And, there was a funding allocation that was made, but that doesn't happen immediately. There's all kinds of bureaucratic paperwork snafus that have to go through. So we are in the process of trying to bring on some individuals to help with some of this work. So once that happens, I'm going to put a link in the chat if I can do that. See if I can multitask here. Not always good at doing that, but we have a temporary page that's a link off of the department's main page right now. The only thing that's on there right now is just the information about these training sessions. But for future pieces of correspondence or piece of updates and information that we want to share as time goes on, we'll be able to use this page as a information dissemination place. Another work in progress, but check back there periodically and see what kind of updates we can put out there. So Janice, there's in the pull down for the unit type, there's new construction, there's rehab, and there's gut rehab. You know, we're going to be, as I said, the nature of the reporting is just to describe the type of unit and what's out there to meet the legislative requirements. In terms of how those units get credited in a municipal plan, that is going to be part of what the Affordable Housing Dispute Resolution Program works through, and you're going to have to wait and see what type of processes or procedures they put out. In terms of an amendment or whatever. So, you know, the legislation doesn't specifically say what this reporting is supposed to cover. And just to be clear also that, you know, this isn't the only reporting. You know, it was originally, for the trust funds, it was originally miswritten in the legislation as June 18th, I guess it was, for the non-residential fees, which we worked with the legislature to correct. They said 90 days, they meant 180 days. So that is September 16th. But the legislation also says that all of this reporting, residential fees, non-residential fees, and the actual unit completion information has to be submitted annually by February 15th. So the legislation doesn't specifically say what that's supposed to cover. So the way we're going to construe that is that the September 16th deadline that's in a couple weeks is supposed to just be a catch up of all of the work that had been done previously as part of all the previous plans. A lot of municipalities have been diligent in keeping all of their CTM information up to date. I mean, a lot, like there's probably 200 municipalities that have been using the CTM system all along. So, you know, their lift is going to be a little bit lighter. There's other municipalities that's just stopped using it when the courts took over. And there's some municipalities that were never previously involved with the co-op process. So obviously this is all new to them, right? So I'm going to construe the September 16th deadline to be the beginning of time through the end of August of 2024, right? Then in subsequent reporting periods that are due February 15th of each year, that's always going to just be an update to be reflective of the previous calendar year. Hope that answers that question.
Keith, Amanda has her hand up.
I'm sorry, who? All right, so
Amanda, do we want to try to unmute her?
Oh yeah, we tried to do this yesterday and it didn't work. Let's see what happens now.
Amanda, can you unmute yourself?
I unmuted her. Let's see. I made an
actually, we did
adjustment
at
to
the same time.
yesterday's session. I think I was able to fix that. So go ahead. No?
Amanda, can you unmute?
No, maybe not. Amanda, can you unmute yourself?
You should have a button on the top right that you can click up here.
Hello,
There
can
you
you
go.
hear me?
Hey,
Yep.
Amanda.
Hi, how are you? I just have a quick question. So I have a lot of the information for the unit projects on the CTM site, but not everything that you guys just went over is on the site. So will I be able to input anything that's missing once the migration happens, or would I have to start fresh?
You'll be able to update records that are in there.
Okay, perfect. All right, wonderful. Thank you.
So
So Amanda, real quick. So if I go back to my active projects here, as long as the project's in the system, and just bear with me, it's loading up. I apologize for being slow. These are all current projects. So if I just go into one of the projects that's already here, I can go to my units and I can add my units and modify them here. So yes, you will be able to.
Okay. That makes life a lot easier. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Right. Seeing nobody else, let's see. What am I doing here?
Keith, did we get through all the questions in the chat?
Yeah, I'm
There
working.
were some that,
So I hate Teams. This is horrible. Right. So I'm struggling through trying to go through a couple different screens here. So we'll post the information after we get it. You know, I mean, it's going to take a little while, of course, to compile all the information and get it into a format that's user friendly and reasonably usable. I can't say exactly when that's going to happen, but it'll be soon thereafter. In terms of consultant use, let's see, am I skipping someone? I guess I'm skipping. Let's see. So question that Gail asks about supporting documentation, we kind of didn't discuss. You know, we don't have rules for this yet. We're in the process of writing the rules, and the rules will be out there, and we'll clarify more of this within the rules once they're published in the register. There won't be any real documentation necessary for unit monitoring at this point in time. You know, it's just a matter of reporting the information that you've got. If there's something that you feel is necessary to attach to a report, as Anthony showed before, you'll have the ability to upload documents, but nothing that I'm anticipating we would require at this point. In terms of the trust fund side, we are going to have to do an annual reconciliation of the trust fund reporting against a bank statement. So one of the documents that we will ask to be uploaded, not now, but starting with the annual reporting on the February 15th deadlines, that'll be reflective of the previous calendar year. We'll want to see the year-end financial from the bank so that we can reconcile those entries. Consultants are currently allowed to enter. Historically, we allowed consultants to enter project and unit monitoring information, and that can come from a couple of different sources. A lot of times, administrative agents are the best source of that information. Sometimes there are people in the planning department that are tracking it. Other times, the municipal housing liaison is the one who's taking those responsibilities. So historically, we've allowed multiple consultancies to be able to make those entries. And again, that's with the authorization of a municipal person of some sort, business administrator or whoever. Trust funds are another issue. Still playing with it a little bit, but in my mind, trust funds, because there's a financial component and it's a rather sensitive type of thing in some cases. I think it's important that trust funds reporting be done by somebody who has some municipal accountability, and so that should be a municipal employee. Given the difficulties of the last couple of months and people trying to get caught up with the new legislation, we did bend that rule a little bit. That's the way we enforced it historically, and allowed, again, with written permission from the municipality, consultants to be able to enter some of that information. But we'll probably, starting with the February 15th reporting in 2025, we will most likely revert back to trust funds being the responsibility of a municipal employee. So I think that's it. Are there more? Am I missing any? I think that's it. So thank you.
Keith,
Oh,
Dan has his hand
Dan,
up.
sorry. Let's see. So how do I do that now? Let's
I'll
see,
get it.
Dan.
I got it. Allow Mike.
Yep.
Dan, can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, just a follow-up question on that. So as a consultant, when we register, we won't be tied to a single municipality. So, if we are inputting the unit monitoring information, previously in the CTM, we had to get approval and access to each municipality that we were consulting for. Is that still going to be the case?
Yes.
Okay.
So what'll happen is if you're currently in the system and you're currently authorized by the municipality in whatever roles they've authorized you for, you're going to be migrated into the new system with those exact same roles for that municipality or all those municipalities, whatever you've got, right? In the future, as I said, we're trying to get the system built as quickly as possible so that you all have a tool to use to comply with the law. And there are going to be some tweaks and fixes that we're going to have to go through moving forward. Anyone who's looked at the system, you can see that, there haven't been system updates in years. There are
Right.
contact names in there, mayors who are no longer mayors, clerks who have moved on. There's a lot of bad information in there in terms of just basic contact information. And so in some future iteration, we'll be talking about cleaning up some of that. That'll be probably a municipal housing liaison responsibility. If we do it at the state level, it's 564 records that we have to touch. If we enlist the army of municipal representatives, each person's got one thing that they got to do, and it's a lot easier, and it's going to be more accurate because you all know what your stuff is, and you'll be able to maintain it and keep it up to date. We can't track all the elections to see who the new mayor is, but each individual town can. So that'll be an easy lift for everybody to do that. But there's going to definitely be some cleaning up moving forward. And so at some point in time, for just as an example, if we go the route of requiring that trust funds be reported by a municipal employee, we'll have to go into the system and we'll revoke outside consultant permissions to access the trust fund monitoring and replace that with the municipal employee. But you'd still be able to have access to the other parts of the system that you're authorized to use. And it's gonna be some growing pains. So we got to all work together as a team to make this thing happen.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. I don't see any other hands, I don't think. Anthony, John. All right. I want to thank everybody for participating in this. This is a tribute to you all for taking the initiative to make sure that you're up to date with how to do the system and working together. We will get through it. We've got another one of these training sessions tomorrow and another one scheduled for September 4th. As I said, they're all the same, but you're certainly welcome to come back again and check that page that I sent a link to earlier in the chat on a regular basis. We'll probably be updating that page to include a recording of one of the sessions that we do sometime in the near future. And as we move on to next steps and other announcements that need to be made, we'll do it both through the GovConnect, I guess they call them eggs. That's a new one on me, but the way we communicate with all the clerks and managers over the last couple of weeks, we'll continue to do that, and we'll start building some updates on that webpage and the link that I shared to you before. So with that being said and done, I think we are done. And I now have to figure out how to close this meeting and save the recording. So thank you, everybody. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Bye-bye.